We are going to go now to our final speaker before we break for lunch with her talk entitled Redefining Integration. We have Leigh, it's Leigh, right? Yes, Leigh T. Reyes, President and CCO, Lowe, Philippines. Leigh Reyes is the President and Chief Creative Officer of Lowe, Philippines. Her work has been recognized at both creative and effectiveness shows such as Cannes Lions, Clio, D&AD, Asia Pacific Ad Fest, the Asian Marketing Effectiveness Awards, and the Tambuli Awards. She has served on the juries of Cannes Lions, London International Advertising Awards, Ad Fest, and Spikes. Last year, Leigh took the stage at Spikes with Lowe & Partners Global CEO Michael Wall to present populist creativity in Asia. Recently, she was a creative speaker at Lowe Institute in New York, and she was part of the Women in Marketing, Advertising, and Media panel hosted by Interpublic Groups at Cannes. Under her creative leadership, Lowe launched 2 products. Crowder, did I say that correctly? Yes. Crowder, a real-time consumer insighting and social gaming platform, and Billy, an Android app that prevents smartphone bill shock. Yes, I think we've all gone through that at one point or another. She champions digital integration across agency processes and skill sets. She is part of a core group of Mobile Monday Manila, an open forum for mobile visionaries, professionals, and enthusiasts. On the lighter side, her interests include vintage and Japanese fountain pens. O, diba? Did you check out her stockings? I think that's the best thing I've seen all day. Wonderful. Calligraphy and anything geeky. So if you wanna check her out on Twitter, she is at LeighPod on Twitter. So ladies and gentlemen, Leigh T. Reyes.
Everybody hungry? Yeah, I know, me too. All right, we'll make this quick. So, this is how I think. Usually I doodle, and what you'll be seeing today is me doodling. So, this perspective, what I'll be talking to you from today, this comes from what an agency that has been considered traditional and mainstream finally getting its digital chops. It's a very different perspective, I think, from starting off digital and then expanding into a bigger role in the client portfolio. So that's the point of view from which I'll be speaking today. And once in a while, I will break into Tagalog. Please translate for people beside you who might not be as well-versed as you. So why do we have to redefine integration? Because let's face it, we have to. So my feeling is non-integrated work currently is pretty much just zombie work. So I don't really see a sense in coming up with any kind of idea that has no potential to expand or to be relevant across any platform. Because nowadays, it's simply not possible. You can't expect an idea to stand alone. Just like we are never alone anymore. So the opposite of an integrated idea is a zombie idea. I'll be taking you through, my talk has 3 chapters. It's very easy. And I've coded them with cute animals, so you'll never get lost. So integration for brands, you'll always see a little cat. Integration as a way of working has a panda, and I don't really like drawing pandas, so my panda looks like a bear with 2 black eyes. And integration as a business model has a pink unicorn. So every time you see these icons, you know exactly where in the presentation we are. So let's go to integration for brands, otherwise known as brown cat. Halata bang alas 4 ko to ng umaga ginawa? So integration, when you talk about integration with clients here, normally we have 2 expressions that we use. One is nakatuhog, which always reminds me of barbecue sticks. Okay, so when you say nakatuhog, it means that things are just slotted together. So that's one way we use the vernacular to explain integrated to each other. Another way to explain it to each other is nakatahi. As in, nakatahi ba yung kampanya mo? Is your campaign stitched together? Which always, for some reason, reminds me of something Frankenstein-y. Okay? Or something like a patchwork quilt. You kind of sort of try to make things look good together, but maybe they weren't realized that way. So you're just trying to make them tahi. But sometimes, and this is the thing that I don't like, sometimes a lot of it is just matching luggage. Meaning, if it's something that you're trying, a campaign that you're trying to integrate, or a brand that you're trying to integrate, simply takes the same key visual or the same key message and just pastes it on everywhere. And that pretends to be something that's really integrated. example that our brand idea is why you know Lowe. Okay? So, I didn't draw the face anymore, so, but you have a little cat. So let's say that's your brand idea. Typically, I guess, the more old school way of doing it would be to replicate why you know Lowe everywhere that you could replicate it in and hope for some kind of integration. You can also repeat. So you can repeat why you know Lowe many, many times, and this is normally in our language just a lot of frequency, or bobombahin mo na lang. And you also progressed it in this very programmed linear fashion. So from why you know Lowe, you could bring it up to why you know Lowe every day, which you could then progress to why you know Lowe, why me know Lowe, which eventually you could bring it to lolcats. But I guess the whole point of this is simply that you could plan something. It's almost as if in isolation from everything else that was happening. And by applying replication, repetition, and progression, you could come up with something. Eventually, that would be brand equity. So all of the attributes, all of the qualities that people associate with your brand. My personal problem with brand equity is that I think it is nowadays an exercise in nostalgia. A lot of it really is sunk creative investment, and you're essentially trying to reap the goodwill off of that. So in a world where you're only as good as your last tweet, what's the worth of brand equity? You have very short attention spans. You have fragmented media. You have fragmented attention. Even if you try to align every piece of your communication or of your engagement campaign so that you hope that people will get the same sense if they see 2 or 3, you can't really even expect that they will see even 1. So I think it's time to move on from an idea called brand equity to an idea called brand integrity, which is the real result of integration as a process. So whereas old integration, I think, means replication and repetition and progression, new integration feels a bit more like jazz. Who listens to jazz here? Who likes jazz? Anyone? Jazz? So the nice thing about jazz is that it changes depending on who you're playing with, depending on the venue you're in, depending on the mood of the people you're playing with, but you follow a score. You know the score. You'll know you'll eventually bring it home. But in the meantime, you can play. And I think that's what brand integrity can be. Improvisation instead of replication, multiplication instead of repetition, and evolution instead of progression would be brand integrity beside a cat. So what's improvisation? Improvisation is timing. Nowadays, I believe that half of any good idea is simply the time you release it. So if I release this idea today and it doesn't fly, I could have waited maybe 2 days, it would have been topical, it probably would have gotten better. So it means being perfectly in character all the time. For those of you who are into method acting or who have ever attended any performance by spit or any improv, you know that they never step out of character. As a brand, you can't afford to step out of character either because your audience is 24/7, which means you're ready to change at a moment's notice. You can, in essence, turn on a dime. And that means you are responsive. So a lot of these things are big ideas, but they apply, or big actions, but they apply to anything that you do. They can apply eventually even to produced material that supposedly we schedule to air. One of the things we're realizing now, moving across different campaigns, is that it takes many different materials. Before, you just used to pour your money into one big material, 130s, right? One set of campaigns for one period. It simply doesn't work that way anymore. You actually need to try little things, many little things at the same time. So, in effect, we're looking at many different materials, quick production, and sometimes not even a need to look similar as long as the brand stays in character. And this is a tough lesson for us to have to learn and relearn simply because we're so used to making everything look the same. You're just so used to it. You just resize something and it's as a banner ad. You make it a little bigger, it's a billboard on EDSA. But really, it doesn't work that way. You know, your eyes don't move like that, the same way they move like this around the world. So many different materials can actually work simply because people are so fragmented, they probably will just see one anyway. Evolution is different from progression because evolution really implies refining as you go. And one of my favorite expressions from startups is MVP, not the MVP who spoke earlier, but MVP is minimum viable product. As in you actually begin with something that there doesn't even look like what your final product is. If any of you guys Google MVP and Twitter, you'll see what the first page of Twitter really looked like when it started in 2005, 2006, and it looked nothing like what it looks now. Functionality is different, everything's different. But they had minimum viable product, and they went for it. It's just the bare minimum that you need to get up and going, and just to prove something, to prove a point. So you can actually, in advertising, or in this engagement thing that we find ourselves in, you can actually begin with what I call minimum viable material. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't even have to be fully online, because it doesn't matter at a small screen. But you can test, you can start, you can seed. And you can let the environment influence the brand direction. Really, a lot of this is being responsive. If something is not working within the first 2 days, you do it again. It's something you can't really do with mass media or with placements that are secured 3 months in advance. But it's definitely something you can do when you're running a content campaign, or when you're running something that requires community management, which you can shift in a couple of hours. I'll be showing you examples of these as we go along, but these are the general principles that we work with. And I really feel that brand integrity is being true to your brand at any level, touch point, channel, live. So the mindset that we apply to all our brands, the brands that we handle in the office, is we're always live. It also means a bit more stress for the people because you're always on as well. So, but we have a scorecard in the office, and one of the points in the scorecard is work-life balance. And our joke is, if we can't, if we have to keep rescheduling pest control because people are working on a Saturday, that means our work-life balance is pretty off. So people know that we're working really hard when suddenly cockroaches are multiplying and enlarging. So this is a pretty recent case, so it's not in a fancy video. So I wanted to talk to you as an example of brand integrity. I wanted to talk to you about the Axe Anarchy launch in the Philippines. So this happened in May to June. Axe Anarchy is the first bundle of Axe that actually includes scent for women. I'll show you this first and I'll explain.
Unleash the chaos on Facebook.com/AxePhilippines.
So the clients came to us with a concern because ASC had disapproved the global material. And we were like, we can't re-edit it. It totally loses sense of what were we going to do. So we said, wait, we can use this. So that's improv, meaning you need to be true to character. And this is something Axe will do. It's cheeky. It's fun. It tells you can go look for it somewhere else. But obviously, we can't show it to you on TV because we weren't allowed to. And that's the truth. That's the basic truth. So what do you do when you're not allowed to show material? You dance with that fact because of the brand character. So if you went to look at our Facebook site, you were actually redirected to YouTube. And then after that, we decided to do something bigger. So something that we did on June 9th, which is 6/9, was the sexiest, even the date choices are deliberate, it's the sexiest cops and robbers game ever. And this was actually inspired by a global asset. Again, we normally, people here who work with multinational companies know this. Normally, you have a bundle of stuff that you can choose to work with or choose not to work with. Pero sayang naman if you can't, diba?
Catch the sexiest cops and robbers game ever. 100 girls, 100 guys. New Axe Anarchy. Winning pair gets 1 million each. Axe Anarchy Raid, June 9, Eastwood Mall. Be there.
So we were inspired by this global video, which essentially shows a girl cop running after a guy robber. And as they're running, they're each stripping off clothes. So I said, wouldn't that be great live? And for real. Okay. So the mechanics of the game were 100 beautiful models and 100 lucky guys. and the girls would run after the guys, and the guys were handcuffed so that they couldn't touch the girls who were catching them. And they had numbers sharpied onto their stomachs. So the girls also knew what their numbers were. So you had to lift the shirts of the guys, and obviously because we're a scent, we are a scent product, you would be able to smell the guy that when you lift his shirt. So that's proof of product fragrance and other things besides. And if you were able to find the guy whose number matched your number, you won the $1 million. So that's simple, right? A lot of the fun actually happened because we started pumping it up on Twitter. So the hash was Play Cops and Robbers. It trended several times. We increased Twitter followers by up to 400%. We had 170,000 mentions throughout the campaign period through hashtags. People just wanted to play. I guess it's as simple as that. We didn't really use the material, I guess, as a material, meaning run it, air it, but we used it to inspire something else. We had a Facebook recruitment app, so if you were a guy and if you wanted to be part of this, we would recruit you. And we had the girls who were coming, or the girls who were going to be running after you list. Okay, so 40,000 views, 1,200 plus registrations. And obviously we needed to pimp the girls because this is all about the girls. And this is all about the gorgeous cops that are going to be running after you if you were a robber. So Megan Young, Jinri Park, Karen Bordador, Nadine Samonte, Sam Pinto. So there was actually a sub-Twitter campaign where people were egging Sam to join and be a cop, and she finally agreed. Okay. So this is just a quick summary video. I won't take you through everything, but preparations for the evening, show you how the guys look, how the girls look. We had Vermont Camp too. After the raid, more stuff that rode on an existing meme. So inspections, more fun in the Philippines, which actually generated consumer version, so harassment, more fun in the Philippines. And these were all shots that people had taken during the actual game. And bodyguards. So these are all generated a lot of shares, a lot of engagement. The one thing that we didn't expect, which is always when the consumer comes in and does something, is that the guys who didn't win formed a private group and started looking for their partners because they felt it was destiny. And that they really should meet the girls with their numbers. So all of these are requests. Help me find my cop. These are my numbers. And who's my partner? And this is my code. Where art thou, my partner? Mwahahaha. So you have all of these guys doing something we did not expect. It's simply generated by the idea itself. Okay, so they actually friended the Axe page and asked for help. I thought that was pretty cool. That's like, okay, that means that the concept really had legs. And even until now, we still get comments and jokes about it. So, results. The most amount of talk generated for Axe in the Philippines in the past 4 years. Searches for Axe shot up by 300% during the campaign launch period. It was the most talked about personal care brand, overtaking Dove. Compared to other markets, so including the US and Brazil, our home market, the launch of Axe Anarchy in the Philippines got the most people talking. We doubled forecast in May and still went out of stock in July. It now contributes 20% of Axe sales, which is now the second largest variant. Earned media offset all local media and production spent for the campaign. 1 peso earned for every 1 peso spent, effectively doubling clients' value for money. So I think that's the power of brand integrity. You just roll with the punches, and you behave the way you're supposed to behave, and you take every potential problem as an opportunity, but always remaining true to what you are as a brand and what people want you to be like as a brand. So we're doing something else now, which was triggered by the recent Habagat floods. So again, this is another example of the way integration can begin small, as one of the speakers said earlier, but can actually grow and become big, simply because you're inviting people in. So last year we did image for the Red Cross, which was the Philippines have submerged in water, which was a call for help for the victims of Typhoon Sendong. So during the floods, one of the Red Cross people called us and said, help, can you do us a campaign? Can you turn it around? I was trapped in the office. My people were up in other places. They couldn't get out of their homes because they were all flooded as well. But we were able to turn the campaign around in a day because they really, really needed the help. So I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook, but it did go around. Our campaign is called Patak Patak Naman Dyan, which is the way we say contribute in Tagalog is Patak Patak, drop by drop, which is essentially what happened. Well, if you could have a flood just creep up on you drop by drop, then certainly help should be able to come to the people who need it drop by drop. So it says here, all of us were flooded, all of us can help each other, and driving people to the Red Cross donation website. Baha na si Batman, tayo-tayo na lang ang magtulungan. redcross.org.ph/donate. Your likes are good, but we need you to share. 100 pesos goes a long way. Donate with a click. Okay, so all of these went out on the Red Cross page. They were shared by people. And we even crossed over to one of our clients, Selecta Corneto, and asked, can we do this because you have a huge fan base, can we help out the Red Cross? So the headline is the classic line from Selecta Corneto, which is hanggang saan aabot ang 20 pesos mo sana sa Red Cross. Okay? So this was posted on their wall. It got a whole huge number of shares and likes and comments. And then the sun came out. And you know how Filipinos are. The moment the sun comes out, everyone wants to go out and have fun and forget about all the bad stuff that happened. But of course, it's just when the sun comes out that help can actually get to the people who need help, right? So we had the line that went, wow, umaraw. Bilis, donate na bago umulan ulit. So this is what I mean when I say you need to be topical. You need to be on the ball. So we were writing this and looking out the window and changing what we were writing and then looking out the window. So like this, the sky is dark, but our spirits were bright, because the next day the skies went dark again. So the great thing about this campaign is it actually spurred other people to help. Okay. And this is how it got big without us knowing it would get big. So I don't know if you're familiar with Ronnie Del Carmen. Ronnie Del Carmen was the story supervisor for Up, for the Pixar movie Up, and he's the first Filipino to co-direct movie with Pixar. So they're currently in production now. What most people don't know is that Ronnie Del Carmen was an alumnus, I guess, of my agency back when it was called Lintas, and he was the art director for Close Up. So, yeah, I know, from small beginnings. So anyway, he DM'd me on Twitter and said, I want to help. Can I donate a drawing? And I said, hold on a minute, let me make some phone calls. Call people from the Red Cross, do you want to do this? And Patak Patak Art for Aid should be launching within the week. And so far, the people we have on board are these artists. So many of them, you'll notice, are famous Filipino comic book artists and illustrators. So we have Ronnie on board, Carlo Pagulayan, Jerry Alangilan, AJ Di Marupot, Dan Matutina, Ian Santamaria, and the list goes on. So it will be an online auction. These these are just some of the art pieces that have come our way. This is Ronnie's drawing. This is Ellie from Up, because that's his character. So that's what she looked like in her adventure clothes. This is from Carlo Pagulaya. He says it's like Iron Man smashing somebody. This is from Dan Matutina. This is from Jerry Alangira and his work on Avengers. So all of these will be going up for auction, and all the proceeds will go directly to benefit the Red Cross. But again, as I said, a lot of this was improv. And this is how we're seeing it evolve. And I think the more we spread the news about it, the more people want to come and participate. If you want to join, I mean, this is the URL for that. And we should be going live within the next couple of days. So that first part is just brand integrity. So next part, now we go on to Pandas. So integration as a way of working. So how do you get people within your company to start thinking integrated from the get-go? Meaning it's not something that you're piecing together along the way, but from the very beginning, you're actually thinking like this. In other words, this is my personal crusade against the comms brief, which I grew up with. So, all very simple. This is all happening because the consumer is connected in a way that the consumer was never connected before. And that means they're connecting to each other and bypassing brands. So I get my knowledge about things directly from other people now. A case in point would be my leggings, which I will explain to you later. Yes, the leggings are props. So the funny thing about any kind of social media, any kind of social network, is you always feel like you're trying to talk to a friend, but there's this brand dancing in the middle, trying to catch both your attention. So you're like, excuse me, I'm trying to have a conversation over here. What is this sponsored story doing here? So, you know, I think it behooves a brand to earn that place in the conversation. I mean, you don't just go and dance in the middle, right? You at least say, hi, do you like what I like? You do something. So, this is just a shortcut. You have 4 rules, you have 5 rules. I'm a writer, so I do acronyms. And this is cues. So this is a new toolbox for the connected consumer, and I've just called it this to make it easier for people. Communication, content, community, curation, utility, experience. Yeah, sorry, 6. Writer cannot come. I'm 6? Oh my God, you're right. Okay. So normally the brief that you get as an ad agency is just the first one. But the first one doesn't work for everything else. So if you begin the brief like this, and if you know that this is everything that you could possibly have in your toolbox, then the brief changes. Then you're not scrambling and thinking about what am I supposed to say, and what is the consumer net takeaway. So suddenly those are just one part of the brief. So I have little guides for what communication really means. It's not how do we best state the brand benefit, but for me, nowadays, it's what can we say to elicit the strongest reaction. So it doesn't matter how beautifully I package a brand benefit. If I can't get any reaction out of someone, it's not worth the trouble. I'll skip I have examples for each, but I'll probably skip a few because there are really many. Content. How do we educate, enlighten, entertain, fascinate, inspire? A brand can play other roles aside from the role that it's supposed to play, which is related to the benefit. It can do bigger things for a person's life. So one experiment that we recently did is something called the Rexona Confidence Project, which is 2 girls, 30 days, 30 challenges, 100% confidence, and 100%, why did we even suggest this idea? Sige na, go! Because we were shooting one day, editing that evening, and uploading the next day. And that cycle over the course of a month is vicious. But, you know, we were also working with, okay, this idea didn't work, let's change it. This worked better, let's do more like this. And we were doing this with the client. So we had an MRT MTV where the 2 girls had to find a boy to make a music video with on the MRT. We had Traffic Aid where they had to learn how to dance like the dancing traffic policemen in Cubao. We had People's Graffiti where they had to find 50 people to help them paint a wall. They had, okay, this was in time for the first Ateneo LaSalle game, UAAP. So we asked the girls to cheer for Ateneo in LaSalle and to cheer for LaSalle in Ateneo. And Ateneo was stricter about cameras. So, but these things. Again, responsive, timely, and finding a way to get content right. So community is how to keep the conversation alive.
In
I'll show you
2010,
one
a
video.
distribution problem meant that OB tampons were gone from the shelves. With no other tampon like it on the market, women had no option. We needed to apologize to a very loyal user base. So we sent a song and music video to each of these women, personally, all 65,010 of them. Jenna and everyone else on the OB database received an email connecting them to their own personal apology.
Jenna, I know we went away and let you down. Jenna, believe me when I say we want to turn this thing around. Calling out your name and calling out your name again. In case you didn't hear it the first time, Jenna, didn't mean to make you cry, didn't want to say goodbye. We're so sorry. We'll write your name across the sky. Cue the airplane guy. We're a double sorry, triple sorry. Didn't make you cry, didn't want to say goodbye. We're so sorry. We were really super wrong. So here's a tender song. You deserve the best and more. So take this coupon to the store.
We achieved a 61% email click-through rate. Then we invited users to share the video with friends so they could make an apology of their own. And that's when a little sorry got big. Within 3 months, we received over 1 million Facebook shares, 1.8 million Twitter impressions, nearly 1 million coupon downloads, worldwide news placements, and 27 million unique video views on our website. All proving that it's never too late to say triple sorry. A personal apology just for you.
So it's great to take an out-of-stock problem and turn it into a way to resurrect brand love, which is what they did. So curation, how can we help when it comes to navigating an overwhelming world of choices? Utility, how can we make life better, easier, smarter, more convenient? And lastly, experience. How can we make an unforgettable impact on senses and emotions? So these are all questions that normally don't make it to a comms brief. But if you ask them in the very beginning, then your campaign can actually begin from anywhere. It doesn't just have to begin from a simple communication piece. Like this one.
The Microloan Foundation is a charity that lends money to some of the poorest women in Africa to help them to set up their own small businesses. Our campaign is called Pennies for Life, and this year we staged a unique live event. We created unfinished portraits of African women, made entirely of pennies, and put them on a digital poster site. Then we invited people to complete the pictures by texting a donation to the poster. As soon as the message arrived, the donor got a personal thank you. Then their money dropped into place on the screen. The more text we got, the faster the picture built, until we had enough money to make one business loan to one woman in Africa. Then we built another one, and another one. Each donor also got a credit on our microsite, where all the portraits were displayed. It was a live, interactive demonstration of small change creating big change for women in Africa. And from one poster in one shopping centre in its first weekend, 21 women who had nothing now have their own small businesses.
It's a great way to feel like you're really helping because there's actually visual proof that you're helping. And they actually made it easy for you to do it SMS or smartphone-wise. Oh, I'm really supposed to use this now. Okay. So that one won a gold in Cannes this year for mobile. So, lastly, yes, I can see the hunger in your eyes. Integration as a business model. So we're now in pink unicorn land. So I think when you can unify platforms and services beyond the share button, which is normally how we think about unifying platforms and services, just add a share button to anything, you might have an idea that's worth money. So I'll tell you a little story, and it's about where my leggings come from. Okay. So my leggings have jellyfish on them. Okay. So if you have an internet connection, you might want to go to blackmilkclothing.com. They don't have any advertising. They have never had any above the line, any kind of regular advertising at all. What they have is amazing product that makes fans instantly out of anyone who sees the product. Okay? So if you go to their website, they have funny things like Call of Napoleon leggings, or leggings printed with circuit boards, or scenes from cathedrals, or cherry blossoms, or to go to the one I'm wearing now, jellyfish. Okay. So, but what made me really interested in what they were doing is on the very same page where you can buy the product, they've actually integrated user-tagged shots of the product. So these are, if you just tag, for example, this is per SKU, and the girls are doing it. So for example, to display your photo here, simply include this tag, jellyfish legs, in a photo comment on our Facebook fan page or as a tag on your Instagram photo. So people are willingly tagging their images by SKU for a brand. This is amazing. And it's really because the brand itself treats them like a family. So more and more pictures of, imagine this. This is the best wearing testimonial you could ever get. And it's right on the page where they sell you the product. So you can actually, on Facebook, they have 250,000 plus likes. Every time they have an event, which is to release limited edition leggings, they're sold out in 9 minutes. So girls tag other girls on the comments page, and that is actually pushing girls to visit and like this page. And no one is telling them to do that. On Instagram, they have 142,000 followers. If you search for Black Milk on Instagram, there's 29,000 user-generated photos. Although, do you know what OOTD is? OOTD on Instagram. OOTD is outfit of the day. If you search the OOTD hash, there's more than 1 million. There's another thing happening on Instagram, and a lot of it is very girl. And a lot of it is about primping and preening and shopping, and so there's just an entire thing going on there. So this one, a single image has 3,000 likes. A shot of a new product has 11,000 likes. If you go to the comments section on Instagram, girls keep tagging other girls. Just to look, come here, look at this. So imagine if you're a brand, you can actually monetize this stream. Same thing. So I think one way, if you can actually integrate community and commerce together with a fabulous product, you're selling purely on, you can actually have a business model that just sells purely on word of mouth. And it's visual word of mouth. I think that's a big difference, because you're actually seeing what you're buying. And there are more examples popping up on Instagram than ever before. So Sabo Skirt, I think it's out of Australia, 436,000 followers. Bijouterie out of LA, more than 200,000. And they're running their businesses just off these. So, business model is the last. And this is your cheat sheet to my entire presentation. Beyond brand equity, think brand integrity. use cues, so communication, community, content, curation, utility, and experience, and be open to integration opportunities that can transform your business. That's it. So I'm at Leigh most anywhere. You can also find me at leighReyes.com, and you can find my agency at LowePhilippines.com.
All right. Thank you very much to Leigh Reyes. Maybe we have a few questions for her before we break for lunch, because that was really enlightening, wasn't it? Very out of the box. So maybe we have a few questions. Ano, wala na? Don't tell me shy ka, ha? You had everyone look at your legs in like 2 seconds. It's really quite interesting. So do we have any questions for Leigh? No? Okay, well, maybe I can start. Well, Noor said it a while ago that a lot of the smaller companies are the ones who are braver in terms of thinking out of the box. Why do you feel that is? Well, of course, you at Lowe, I mean...
Look, I do think that, okay, sometimes in my line of work, it's the client that needs to be braver. I don't think there's any lack of bravery in the creative industries. The size doesn't matter, but we need buy-in. And a lot of that buy-in, the work needs to come from us as well. I get asked a lot. I mean, I always get asked about social ROI. How exactly does that little like over there convert into one more sale for me? It's always a difficult thing to answer. So I think the more, and this is one of those things that actually rolls, the more success stories we have, the more we can say, yes, we've learned that this works. Yes, we've learned that we can do this. And as I said, I've seen great ideas come out from any size agency.
But yet sometimes they get junked because unfortunately I think maybe as a community, as a buying community, we're still very, I can't explain it really. I mean,
okay, I can only speak for my current clients. My clients want to be there. I have no difficulty selling digital ideas or the idea of digital through to clients. They are the ones who are asking us. So I think the onus is on the agency to actually say, this is a great idea, this is how we'll get it to be even greater, and these are the KPIs that we can agree on as of today. So it's really just the extra, just an extra bit of reassurance, because we have so many other forms of reassurance in other types of investments for the client. For example, you would know that if you spend this much on TV, your sales will kick up this much. It's almost like gut feel, but you don't know that. You have no gut standards like that yet when it comes to digital. So I guess the way it's going, it feels like is, let's try this, let's learn faster, and then let's apply whatever we learn to the next project, and hopefully it gets bigger.
Are the bigger ad agencies, I guess, willing to push the envelope in that respect and stay away from the safe realm? Like, let's say for shampoo ads, I finally saw one shampoo ad that has short hair, and we haven't done that ever. So I guess this is, for me, it's kind of thinking out of the box. Do you think we're going to get there eventually? I mean, okay, a lot of our shampoo ads now, fine, they are also on Facebook, they're also on Twitter, but that's just very surface. We still have to push a little bit, don't you feel?
I think there's always room for more creativity anywhere. Digital executions, TV executions, billboard, anything. I mean, there's always room for better. So we have must things that need to be done. For example, and TV advertising is such a rigorously tested format amongst multinational clients that sometimes you cannot be as quote-unquote out of the box as you think it should be. However, that doesn't mean that the other channels can't work to complement whatever you have. So you can probably try something else here, try something else on Facebook, try something else on the microsite, try something else on mobile, which doesn't necessarily detract from what you're doing on TV, but actually enhances it.
Are there any other questions? Because if there aren't, maybe you can just have your final words on, I guess, the whole theme of IMAP, about digital having heart. Because what you showed us, all digital, and may puso. So how do you, I guess, come to grips with digitizing something and then making sure that there is a human aspect to it?
I think more and more we will not have to answer that question because we have a generation growing up, coming in and making decisions that are as digital as from the day they were born. So it's not a struggle for them. I think for this particular theme of digital having a heart, if you look at my face, my old creative director always told me, when in doubt, go for the heart. Meaning if you're judging any idea, be biased towards the one that makes you feel more. I think it doesn't matter whether it's a digital idea or a storytelling idea or even a physical, a standee, whatever. As long as it makes you feel something, then it should help the brand.
Okay, I think with that, we'd like to say thank you very much to Leigh Reyes from Lowe, Philippines.